We'll wait for Vivian and Michael.
Thank you.
The board will come to order at 10:50 a.m. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from today's closed session meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Smelker, supported by Connor, to approve the minutes of today's closed session. And any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Campbell.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Getty.
Aye.
Gibson.
Aye.
Jackson.
Aye.
Smelker.
Aye.
Geiger.
Aye, the minutes are approved. Taking up unfinished business, discussion of inflation impact payments for county employees. Now, I understand this is a item of great interest across the county government. We had some time to think about what our priorities are. What are the board's wishes? Commissioner Campbell, what do you think?
I would like to see us, as a commission, accomplish something here today that will be concrete to show our good faith to our employees. I know there's a lot of chatter going on out there right now. I think we all realize there's a financial crisis on all our employees right now. And I'd like to see us be able to do something today that's concrete and in place. Hopefully takes place before the holidays, Christmas, etc. And then in the future, we do something that addresses a continuation of gains caused by this deficiency.
Does anyone on the board not believe we should do something today? In other words, are we in agreement that we should act today? I think there's consensus here.
I think we should act today.
Mm-hmm. Is there consensus on that?
Board of action
Mm-hmm.
comes up to be.
Yeah, so the question is, what is the action?
So I wasn't able to, because Orangeville was prior to getting this information, but I did bring it up at the Prairieville Township meeting, and I attached the document that was first presented to us to my report, so that the township had it. I asked the people in the audience, I gave them my email, to please email me if they wanted to give some thought about it, or give me some ideas of which way they thought I should vote. I did the same at Yankee Springs. I heard from one person from Prairieville at the meeting that she was not for it and even questioned the validity of being able to do this with ARPA dollars. No one at Yankee Springs approached me during or after the meeting or at any of the breaks. I didn't get any emails. I did talk to some folks from Orangeville, and the majority, while they felt for the employees, because everyone in the county is facing that cost of living that's exorbitant, and you know, everyone is paying the same for the loaf of bread, is paying the same for a gallon of gas. So, but no one spoke to me in to do it. they all, the ones that I did speak to were all not to. So that's what I can tell you, what I heard from the constituents who did contact me.
Commissioner Getty, what are your thoughts? I know you're in favor of doing something. What do you think we should do?
I'm in favor of doing something. I'm in favor of spreading it out, probably on a quarterly, but I would be open to administration's input on that. I like the bones of scenario 6, but with the 5,000, 1,000 ratio.
Mr. Jackson, what do you think?
I'm kind of in the same camp as Commissioner Getty. I like scenario 6. I like the basic foundation of that on 4,800. I like that includes employees who are new hires that are under probationary period, that we're not excluding them, that they will get included in that at some point. I also would be open to administrative input, but I wouldn't be opposed to doing half upfront, like a January 1st payment, and the other two $1,000 payments over the next 2 quarters, something like that, something simple, you know. Like I said, that can be based on Michael's guidance on some of that stuff, but I do like scenario 6.
Commissioner Gibson, what do you think?
Other counties have did this, so anything we do, we wouldn't be out of line by doing anything.
No. No. Commissioner Smelker, what do you think?
I have a couple questions, and hopefully Michael can answer them. That on our average wage, what would be the percent compared to inflation percent at 5,000 and at 4,000? Payment of 5,000 and payment of 4,000. And I believe our average wage 42, 42.5, something like that.
You'd want the median wage.
Yeah, thank you.
What's $5,000 of the median wage adjusted for inflation? Challenges.
I don't know that I have that number
It takes a year to calculate it. It's always a year behind.
Now, inflation hit last year, you know, so, but I guess, just to make it simple, what is percentage in, say, 42.5, what's 5,000? Percent of gain.
5,000 you said
Yes,
is 11.7.
11.7, and then 4,000 would be about 9.
Now, if we're making, I would suggest, if we are going to make decisions based on averages and percentages, I want to see how we do the math. Because that list of median employees, who's included, who's not included? Where did we get 45,000? I agree.
You take the
In my
top
go-
wage and the bottom wage, and the median. But this is just a general rule. I
Okay.
ain't getting right down sticky. That's why if inflation went up 8 point something, I agree with David, 4,000. Gives you 9% over the year on the medium wage.
So your goal would be, I'm just trying to understand, your goal would be to take away the negative effects of the inflation.
Isn't that what we're after?
Mm-hmm.
And to tell you the truth, I feel the same way as the other 2 or 3 do, that pay it out, whatever's easiest on administration. I believe their hands are full with the things we've got going, so I wouldn't be against 4 payments, 2 payments, or I wouldn't be against 1. So We cannot control how people spend their money and when they spend it.
No. I agree with everyone, or majority of the board, that we do need to act today. I don't know if there's a scenario I lean toward, but simple and efficient, quick would be my priorities. Commissioner Connor?
Sorry, I ran out of, my voice is dying. But yesterday, Michael and I did some calculations, and we went from the custodian entry level at 5,000, we were using the 5,000. And that percentage of raise would be 19%. The most populous levels, the 5 and the 9 level of employees, they would be, 5 would be making a 12%, the 9 would be making a 9%. This is at 5,000. A deputy clerk, 8%. A departmental head, and we used Mashaya from Equalization, because she's new. That would be a 6%. And Michael, his percentage would be 3.9. So, I mean, those, we figured those yesterday. I am not opposed to it, because some of the comments were, how does this help all the residents of Berry County? And I said, well, when your county, the offices and departments have to operate well to support the citizens for whatever their need is. So it is a benefit, not like we saw the first round with the water tower and the 911 and all the different things that we approved then. But, so I am not opposed. I am for doing something, because it does affect our employees. But I would like to see perhaps just make a decision for this year and have the new board look at what's going to happen next year and on, until that contract can be opened again. But I think we need to do something this year. So, and it does. I mean, it struggles. One of the articles that Michael sent, like they had 80 openings in county government. I don't know how a county could operate with 80 openings. You know, the jobs just aren't, people, it's hard for me to grasp that. I mean, I grew up in an area where people were always looking for a job opening to go apply for, you know, that they were qualified for, to go get a job. So, but I do think that we need to at least do something for this year, and then turn it over to the new board for what happens until that contract can be opened again.
I'd agree. I think it is a mindset shift. By taking action today, the board is going to say, you know what, we're going to fight for the best employees. This is a market economy where staff can go find a career that compensates them at a level they want. We want the best here. We want talent. We do not want people to leave here. So I would hope that the next board continues this mindset of what can we do to keep our employees here. Let's take a look at the scenarios we have on the board. I've been teaching school too long. Let's go up to scenario number 1. Scroll up, David. This is the simplest, straightforward, most straightforward item. It's also comes at a pretty big price tag. The one, if the Board of Commissioners today went forward with scenario 1, we would have to kindly request that the Compensation Commission take action to exclude county commissioners and include countywide elected officials. Oh, excuse me. We'd have to ask the Compensation Commission to follow suit with what we wanted. In terms of price tag, between scenario 1 and scenario 2, there's not that much of a difference in cost. I'm kind of partial to scenario 1. Anybody else? I could read through all of these, but is there a specific scenario that somebody wants to advocate for right now?
I liked the 6 also, that David and Catherine liked. And I think, what did you just say was on that, what was that percent? Was it on the 4,000, didn't he say 9 something?
9.4 maybe, something like that.
I mean, and I know that's a median, and I mean, like what Michael and I talked about yesterday, I mean, it's gonna give more to the lower and a bigger percentage to the entry level or versus, you know, your department heads are gonna get a less percent. But I think it offers more to everyone.
Inflation hits the entry-level ones harder than it does.
It does.
Amen.
It does. Who said amen? Oh, I thought it was
It
Pam.
does. It does. I had a question.
$800.
Isn't it the
Be
seasonal,
part-time.
seasonal or variable?
As we've worked through this, that's been the challenge. The full-time employees, it seemed to be pretty straightforward. There's 171 full-time employees. That seems to be pretty straightforward. You work full-time, you're here on a regular basis every week, if you may, except for vacations and those types of things. There's 171 of those. I'm going to delve into the full-time. I think a question that we need to have clarified is, what do you want us to do with probationers? There's approximately 16 of them. That moves a little bit as some of them are coming off probation now, but we've got probationers, and then we've got those that have said that they're terminating or retiring. And Ottawa County's example, they appear to have just said, anybody who is employed on this date, the date that they approved it, was eligible. We can do that, or we can address the probation. If you phase it in, it somewhat automatically addresses it. You could say that we're just gonna, everybody that's employed, you could choose to say that we're not phasing it in, we're gonna do a lump sum, but those folks who come off of probation those folks that are on probation won't get it until they come off. And I have to clarify, I'm using probation as 6 months, and I apologize that it gets into the weeds, but these are the issues, because deputies, for example, have a 1-year probation. So my thought is that we just apply a standard 6 month. You've got, effectively 3 people. March is when right now is when the last current employees who are on probation, unless we've had somebody hire within the last few days, we may then have somebody out 6 months. But so we have those probationers are a question with regard to full-time.
Is the probation proration, it feels to me like it's a solution in search of a problem. The reason that we would implement this is because we don't want the county to be ripped off by an employee that came in and didn't work out. But to me, that's a management issue. Don't hire bad people.
Sometimes you don't know that until probation is up, though. I see nothing wrong with them getting the impact check, but I believe their probation ought to be done and then get it.
I agree with Smoker.
That seems to be the standard, is that there isn't, we've thrown out scenarios that included phasing in and other things. That does not necessarily seem to be the norm, because I think others were doing it early, we've had the luxury of then critiquing what they've done. And two, you get bogged down and start to get too many choices and can't come to, if there's 25 variables and 8 commissioners or 7 commissioners, you never have a consensus. So they'll
we
kind of
taking
keep
off-
it simple, stupid.
Are we removing
Maybe
the opportunity to use this as recruitment? You know, you drive past, a lot of businesses, they talk about how much cash you'll get in hand if you come work for us. Is that important to us? Because if we do probation, it's not going to be that quick of an incentive. I'm not married to this idea, I think it's important to discuss. Dave, you've hired a lot of people in your day. What do you think?
Probation, for people coming on probation, if they know that there's a rainbow at the end of their 6 months,
Okay.
I think that that's a positive for them and an incentive for them to stick with it, stick with the county.
Okay.
I think, as Michael said, there's 16 people and the county has a need. I mean, there's a lot of hiring gaps right now, but by the same token, it's the people who have been here and stuck with the county and worked with us through some trying times and COVID times. Those are the people that we need to take care of. I mean, we really need to focus on that. That's why I like the fact that we're rewarding them, that we're doing something. But as we talked about the last time we had this conversation, my concern was sustainability over time. Sat down with Michael, dumped out the county budget, sorted through it, and realized that trying to make this sustainable in a short window that we're trying to get this approved wasn't possible. So hopefully we can continue to look at that next year. But also in that conversation with Michael, we know that not only is there inflationary pressures, there's also potential recessionary pressures going into next year. County revenues are flat, that I think we need to be very fiscally conservative on how we approach this. We need to take care of our employees, but I think there's a lot of concern in 2023. So I don't want to just open that door to the contract, to some other things, because people are getting pay raises, and they are getting step pay raises based on that contract we put in place. So, I mean, the 2% is basic, but some people are getting much more than that as the catch-up in addition to this. So, I think we're doing our due diligence on this. It would be nice to be able to come to some conclusion, but I still think scenario 6 gives us the most flexibility in how to do this, and it protects the county and our long-term vision with this, looking at how 2023 is going to be as well. So that's kind of where I'm focused on at this point. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics in play that we have to be aware of, not only with this board, but going into next year.
The question I had about scenario 6 is, what time frame are we talking about with employees retiring or terminating, that they would be excluded? Is that somebody who stated a retirement in 2023?
No, I don't know that we know that far. I would say those that have, I made a note here, terminating employment on or before 12/31 of '22. I mean, I don't think you can go out very far. I don't know that we know that.
Right.
If we do, it's out of courtesy. You know, somebody says to their supervisor, hey, I'm intending to retire in 6 months, but that's not official. I mean,
That would be my
until they're-
concern is-
Until they're have signed a resignation form or submitted official, so, I don't have a great answer. My thought was 12/31 of '22. There, that we,
That sounds fair to me.
but again, I think the norm has been if you're employed on this date, and honestly, that'd be a whole lot easier to implement. But I get that there's some other facts, so, My thought is 12/31 of '22, end of the year.
That's logical.
You mean to say if you're employed as of 12/31/22, is that what you're saying, or if,
Yeah.
okay.
I guess the question becomes, if you've submitted your notice to retire or terminate before the end of the year, will that individual get that payment? And a little bit, the thought is, are you recognizing going backwards, or are you recognizing the pressures
Recognizing service.
going forward? You're, you know, again, if you're recognizing the pressures going forward, you're looking for folks that are gonna be here.
I don't think it's this board's intent to deny somebody that has put in a career at the county the opportunity to get this. I mean, anybody opposed to
Well,
had retirees or soon-to-be retired employees get this?
So if we want this to become effective so that the employees get it before the end of the year, at least the first quarter, if we go quarterly, and they're not retiring until December 31st, I mean, they would be included in the first quarter because they are currently working? I mean, would that be?
I agree. I think scenario 6 takes care of that. If you're employed in the first quarter, you get the
You get the
$1,000 payment, and if you leave in the second quarter, you don't.
Don't, yeah,
So-
that's how I,
Kind of takes care of itself.
yeah, that's how I see it.
All right, well,
Thank you, David.
let's get this done today. Let's make sure we do it right. So I'd like to take a 15-minute recess and have a motion with instructions in it for the administrator so we can get it done today without any questions, so we don't have to do any cleanup work next week. Anybody object to that?
Is there anything you want to ask the board? Well, we can't all be in on that because it'd be at
No,
recess.
the motion would be, basically to approve, up to, you know,
Are you talking
Sep-
scenario 6?
scenario 6, $775,000, in ARPA funds for these reasons. Effective immediately.
Is there anything that you need clarification on?
Yeah, so we're talking,
If we're gonna do this, I want checks cut as soon as possible.
so,
I also don't want, I don't want to receive a $4,000 check in the mail in January and go, whoops, did we screw up? Why did I get this? I want to make sure that elected officials are, their compensation and through this is determined by the commission.
Are you
Oh,
gonna see
it says
if
county
they can
commissioners and elected officials would be excluded in this 6.
meet? But the compensation committee would have to meet this year yet. If,
That's not in here, so on this one, on that scenario.
Make it clear in the motion.
Okay,
so we're talking about, then it being based on a quarterly payment to full-time employees of $4,000, based on, it broken into quarterly. Again, then it works for the employees who are still within their probationary period, excluded until the payment term after they successfully complete probation. So the employees who are retiring or terminating would be excluded from effectively future payments
Future payments.
upon their we're excluding seasonal, part-time, seasonal and variable, temporary employees. Back to the term basis. So then we get into the part-time, and we've broken it down. Part-time employees working 20 or more hours versus part-time working 19 or less.
Why is that 600 and not 800?
Because they work less hours? Is the 800 for the
That's a-
part-time employees
that's a-
working?
That's an error, sorry.
Oh, okay.
That is an error, that should have been 800. So as we looked at the part-time folks, we trying to further define that for clarity. We would say that part-time union employees who have a full-time equivalency of 50% or greater would get a prorated payment.
When would they get it?
Quarterly?
Quarterly?
Yeah, everything would be based on quarterly, so we calculate it, and it would be,
If you're given a prorated payment, could you do it just all up front, if it's prorated? I mean, as you said, the people that need it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say some-
Inflation continue, oh, I didn't have my hand.
I like the idea of the quarterly basis and stuff, but I really think we don't want to divide this totally evenly. I think we need to top load that first payment. It's Christmas holidays. They've already had the whole year of trying to catch up and everything else. It just seems more logical to top load the first payment, whatever number that might be, and then break the rest down into the quarterly division.
David mentioned that one time, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Dave did touch on that.
Would it
That sounds
Would it be
good.
simpler administratively to do it than biannually to, if we're gonna top load it, do a January 1st and a midway through the year? Then to break up quarterly, because then what do we do with those, that second half?
January 1st, July 1st.
That won't help them for Christmas, which seems to be,
July seemed,
Yeah, I'm not sure January 1st ought to be our goal. I think our goal ought to be before January 1st, if possible.
we'll do our
and-
best. It
If
will require
possible.
putting letters of
Possible.
understanding in play. I mean, there's still some work to be done. But once we have the parameters, we'll hustle those along.
One thing, Bruce, is if they know they got it coming in January, would make it
We need anything else to put a framework for a motion together?
I think what I'd like to do is, let's take a break. Guys, go get something to eat. Michael and I will whip up a resolution, because this has got to be, it cannot be sloppy. It has to be clean and very prescriptive. But we'll come back at 12:15. We'll vote on the resolution.
We've got,
I can rush and get something done in 10 minutes, but
we've
I
got
don't
a
want to
health
screw
board
this
meeting.
up.
Yeah.
We've got a health board meeting at 1.
I know.
All right.
Well.
Who- what do
here,
you think?
It's here, but
I think we ought to do it today.
We're gonna do it today, but it's gonna take
Can
a
we-
while to draw up the motion.
10, 15 minutes, go ahead and draft something up.
All right, how about we'll come back, and, you pick a time.
11:45.
11:50,
11:45?
11:45.
Let's have
11:45.
Like it.
Go get
Without
anything to
objection, the
eat.
board will take a recess until 11:45.
And we're gonna get something to eat in 21 minutes.
Well,
We're from the candy jar.
I'm gonna wait.
the candy jar.
We better not be here long.